Hey, what's up, everybody? Hopefully, y'all are having a good day. So, I just got a chance to see All Eyez on Me, which, if you don't know, it's the biopic chronicling the life of Tupac Shakur. And I was kind of excited for the movie because I saw Notorious, the Biggie Smalls movie, and I didn't mind it. It wasn't bad. Nothing special, but it was entertaining overall. And honestly, who didn't like Straight Outta Compton? So, when I heard about this movie getting made, I'm like, oh, Tupac is probably one of the most influential, prolific rappers ever to live. So, I'm like, awesome. They're probably gonna give it a lot more tender loving care than those other two movies, right? Wrong. There is a lot wrong with this movie. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, though. First of all, the guy that they got to play Tupac, Demetrius Shipp Jr., he looks exactly like him. Like, they could not have picked a dude that looks more like Tupac, in my opinion. And there is quite a bit of bad acting in this movie, I'm not gonna lie. But the few times that you saw, like, passion on somebody's face and it was actually believable was from Demetrius Shipp. Like, there's some times where he's just, like, doing his manifestos or, like, saying something, like, seriously important, and you can tell that he, like, really cares about what he's saying. The sad part is, I don't think this movie was very well directed, and if he did have a much better director, I feel like he would have killed it. Sadly, not the case, though. One thing I thought was weird at first, but then the idea kind of grew on me, was that the guy who played Biggie in the original Notorious movie that came out forever ago, Jamal Willard, they brought him back to play Biggie, which I thought was odd considering that this is supposed to be like, it's kind of its own thing. And for a second, I just thought to myself, holy fuck, are they seriously about to make like a 90s hip-hop shared film universe right now? Hopefully that's not the case, but the point is, eventually that grew on me because I thought he actually did a way better job playing Biggie in this movie than he did in Notorious. Albeit he doesn't have a shitload of screen time, but his performance was definitely better. Other than that, the only positive really is just like the subject matter in general. Tupac accomplished a lot in his short lifespan, and that in and of itself is an interesting story. But lo and behold, if you just watch a documentary, or God forbid, read his Wikipedia page, you probably could have learned all of that shit and saved yourself a few bucks of going to see the movie. However, if you are like a die-hard Tupac fan, like you have all of his albums like pre and post-death, then maybe you might think of it as kind of like an homage to the fans or something like that, and you might actually get some enjoyment out of it. And if that's how you feel, cool. I do not begrudge you one bit if you enjoyed this movie. But I personally just like, I connected way more with Straight Outta Compton than I did with this movie. First of all, the movie's about 2 hours and 20 minutes. You probably could have shaved at least 20 minutes off of that. In the beginning, when they do all that stuff about his mom being in the Black Panther Party and being pregnant with him while she was in jail, that's cool. That's good information, but they just meandered with all this other stuff that, like, it really wasn't that important to the rest of the movie. If they had just made the point that, yes, she was a Black Panther and yes, she was an activist, then that would have been fine, but they kind of dilly-dallied around that, and I'm like, most of this shit is pointless. And I thought the script and/or dialogue was just way too overstated throughout the majority of the movie. Like, there was quite a bit of unnecessary dialogue that didn't really need to be said. Just little words here and there from random characters that just did not need to happen. And some of the dialogue is just so wacky to the point where I thought that this movie was written by a white dude who might have met 3 black people in his entire life, and one of them is Colin Powell. And if the script's not perfect, ultimately that's gonna fuck up the acting later on down the line. And if the direction isn't that great either, then that totally fucks the acting down the line. Now, was I probably the only white person in the room watching this movie? Yes, I believe I was. However, I wasn't even close to being the only person laughing when I heard some dumb shit being said on screen. There was a few moments where they were actually, like, trying to be funny, and those actually worked, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the comedy bits in the movie were actually effective. But a lot of the times this movie was not trying to be funny, and it just ended up being funny. And on top of that, the movie felt like it was trying way too hard to, like, flip-flop between being a biopic and a music video. Did I expect this movie to have a bunch of Tupac songs in it? Yeah, of course, why wouldn't you? It's fucking Tupac. But did I expect these 2 to 5 minute long montages while the song is going on of just slow motion, like dancing or some other dumb shit like that? Like, no. If they did that once or twice in the movie, I could be like, alright, but the amount of times they did it, I was just like, okay, dude, you guys are just, like, shamelessly trying to get Tupac albums sold, even though he's sold a bajillion of them already. Like, to me, that just seemed like a total cop-out, because this guy was more than just a musician. He had this whole wealth of ideas and knowledge that they just did not delve into nearly enough. And then, to top it all off, the sound editing was even more annoying than a dog constantly trying to hump your leg. Like, about half to 2/3 of the movie, when the dialogue was happening, I was just like, alright, this is a good volume, everything sounds cool, everything's mixed right, awesome. And I don't know if it was a theater I was at or what, but when music was playing, it was just like, and I'm one of those guys that listens to metalcore on blast in my car. I have no problem with loud music, but to hear the juxtaposition of those two completely different volumes, it was just like, ugh. So all that being said, I'm gonna have to bow out and say that this movie was not worth the price of admission, or even anything close to that, and I'm gonna give this movie a 2.8 out of 10. If you're a huge Tupac fan, you'll probably get some enjoyment out of it, or if you know nothing about Tupac at all, maybe you'll learn something, but overall, it's a clunky movie, and if it would have been better directed, I probably would have been way more impressed with it, but it is what it is. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you seen this movie? Were you excited for it as I was? And were you let down like I was? Hop in the comments. Let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this review, give me a like, subscribe, do all that other bullshit, and I will catch you guys later.